Are you a woman standing at a crossroads, eager for change? It's time to connect with your authentic and empowered self at Boss Leap. Join Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker in this empowering community where real-life stories of courageous and talented women inspire and motivate. Engage in honest conversations that foster well-being, drawing from our own journeys. Let us guide you toward profound growth and transformation in both your personal and professional life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Sylvia Morris and Dr. Angela Walker.
Welcome back to Boss Leap, the podcast where we explore the bold moves that transform careers and redefine success.
I'm Dr. Angela Walker.
And I'm Dr. Sylvia Morris.
And today we have a guest who made one of the most dramatic career pivots we've ever featured.
She went from performing surgery in the OR to performing financial transformations in the boardroom. She's a former surgeon turned financial strategist, speaker, and TEDx presenter.
She's the creator of The Frequency of Money, author of 6 books, founder of Human Consciousness Consortium Publishing, and host of the Money Consciousness Show. Her work bridges the emotional and psychological dimensions of money with practical financial strategy.
This conversation goes deep. We're talking generational money wounds, the frequency of wealth, and why your money problems might not be about the numbers at all.
So let's dive in. Welcome to Boss Leap, Dr. Susan Nicholas.
Susan Nicholas, welcome to Boss Leap.
Thank you so much, Angela and Sylvia. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, so excited to have you here. We want to hear all about your story. It's been fascinating just learning about you, meeting you. And we're just going to start with how we normally go back to the beginning, maybe where you grew up and how did your early environment shape the way you think about money and success today?
Okay. Well, I love the beginnings because I think that's where it all starts, even if we don't have awareness of that.
Right.
I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, and I grew up, I would say my pre-K years in Pennsylvania, but by the time I was in first grade, my family moved us to West Virginia, to a college town called Morgantown. But I think that first 5 years is where the wound is, as far as money. We don't realize it, but when we are born into a belief system. We're born into, a family, a community, a society, but all the inherent belief systems are kind of embedded. And we don't recognize how much of that we absorb because it's invisible. It's like an invisible force. And when I was young, I was born into poverty. 17-year-old mom, I was her second child. My mother had a 9th grade education. And my father was a singer, a performer with a high school diploma.
Wow.
And they had kids very, very young. And it wasn't until I was way out of medical school and into residency that I actually learned my mother's story. And that's because there was a secret that was never spoken. And I knew that it was the unspeakableness. I had an awareness that there was something that no one was talking about because I was not permitted. In fact, I was forbidden to have a relationship with my grandmother, my mother's mother. And so there was a secret little thing going on. And when my parents separated, I was quite young. And when my mom would have us, she would sneak us to grandma's house. And we thought it was fun and cool and whatnot. But even as a 5-year-old, a 4 or 5-year-old, I sensed that something didn't feel right at grandma's.
So Susan, we're going to get into the kind of the wounds around money. But what we want to do is make sure that our audience is kind of up to speed on who you are.
Okay.
So I know that you went from being a surgeon to now a financial strategist. And we know that is a massive pivot. So what made you want to leave the OR, and what skill from being a surgeon has been your secret weapon in finance?
Sure. So, leaving the OR really came from a profound spiritual awakening that really goes back to my childhood. And I would say that I believed that achieving, whether it was academic credentials or money or titles, would lift the sadness or lift kind of the wound, but it didn't. And so I got to the place where I was doing my fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery, and I had a very deep, dark night of the soul where I realized all the effort that I had put forth didn't it didn't fulfill me. Like it didn't bring me the happiness that I thought it would, or the lightness. There was not enough that I could do to fill a soulful void, and I didn't know that. I thought I could educate myself out of it, or geographically move myself far away enough from it. But there's this saying that wherever you go,
there you are.
There you are. Yeah. And so there I was.
And can you enlighten our audience, because to go through medical school, residency, cardiothoracic surgeon residency, what did that time frame look like? I don't think people understand the invested time you had there before discovering these feelings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty typical, the 4 years, of undergrad, and then the 4 years of medical school. And then it wasn't until you guys understand, my PGY 6 years. So coming out of.
Wow. 6-year residency. Yes.
Yeah. Well, my track was even longer, because doing cardiac, where I was doing it was like 10 years, a 10-year track.
Yeah.
Some of the cardiac surgeons were coming out when they're 40, So at any rate, it was a long journey. I'll just say that, a long journey before I got it. Before, let me say, I don't even want to say I got it, but before I recognized that I had to do something. I had to change something materially, like something had to change dramatically for me to go on living. Like that's how deeply sorrowful that I was.
So this relates to certainly money and consciousness, what were some of the signals that you were seeing, certainly in yourself, and that you see in some of your clients, that someone has a money consciousness problem?
Yeah. Well, I don't love calling it a problem because it's an experience. I feel when we use our language, it has a vibration. It has
words
a
are
frequency.
powerful. Yes.
And so I was experiencing something that I couldn't understand. Like on paper, it didn't make sense. It's like, it's the idea when you know that you worked really hard, that you're smart enough, that you're talented enough, that you're a good person, that you're doing the right things, and still you're in a pattern of fear surrounding money or your security, or you feel insecure, or you feel unworthy, or you feel like something isn't right. That's, to me, where this energy and this consciousness comes in. Because it becomes that it's not a matter of how smart you are, or talented, or beautiful, or athletic, or whatever, enough. You still don't feel like you're enough, like there's maybe not enough. And it can show up in your relationship with yourself, where you don't feel worthy or good enough in yourself. It could show up in your personal relationships, where you feel like they're just not right, like something just isn't right. And then, or your work relationship, where you just feel like this isn't it. And that's, to me, where the spirit comes in, like where the consciousness comes in, where the vibration comes in, that brings it to our attention, that can, I would say, bring it to your attention that you're missing something, because all the effort and all the things that you're doing and being don't seem to be enough.
And for you, I think you're telling us that kind of the story of your origin. How did you bring that all together? How did you determine that as part of what shaped you around money when you were younger to that point in life?
Well, when I started to do my work of introspection, I realized that my relationship with money was fraught with shame. And I did not have any language around that, but it was just kind of like looking back. I felt like ashamed, like I didn't want to tell anybody like my relationship with money. And I was kind of like, why? Like, what is it? Like, what is holding me back?
Yeah.
And what does it come from? And it went back to the origin story where there was shameful acts around how money was earned and spent. And so I was like, oh, so I get it now. Even though it wasn't my shameful acts, or I had nothing to be ashamed of, but this thing was there, like this unspeakableness was there. And then I had to process that. I had to. But
even in popular culture, when we talk about money, depending upon what circles you're in, we think money. There's a saying, money is the root of all evil. We talk about money being dirty.
Right.
So I certainly can understand that. I guess what I'm also wondering is, did you work with a professional? Did you read books? How did you, because first of all, you were a fellow, a CT surgery fellow. First off, there's not a lot of free time to do any introspection. You were eating and sleeping.
Yes.
You were in
Getting
the
up
hospital.
the next day.
Exactly. You're in clinic. There's not a lot of free time for introspection. So how did you navigate that?
Well, that's just it. I mean, when I was doing my clinical fellow in heart surgery, I had one 24-hour period off per month. Right. We worked all the time. This is before the 80-hour work week. I'm going to age myself.
We all trained before that.
You look so young. Yes.
Well, I am 54 as of yesterday. And so, I did this, I was before the 80-hour work week when you just lived in the hospital. So you're right. None of this happened during that time. There just wasn't time for it. I didn't even know myself anymore. Right. I would literally leave the hospital and forgot where I parked my car. It was just so disorienting.
And let's say the obvious. I would imagine you were the only woman or maybe one of two women, and you certainly were the only Black woman.
Right. That's correct.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. So that's just another layer of it.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, another podcast.
Yes.
Yes. So this had, I say there are no accidents in the universe.
Right.
I believe I had to have my journey as it was. And I believe I had to wake up when I did. And I had, all of it was necessary. Because in that origin story was a feeling of unworthiness. And I had to prove, what was running in the background was this belief that I had to prove that I was good enough, or prove that I was smart enough, or prove that I was this or that enough, and that was part of the engine driving the bus. Because I felt that the journey out of my circumstance was a physical journey, was a geographic journey, was an educational journey. And all those things may have been true to some degree, but there was something even deeper that I believe my life experience was for on this go around. For me, this life wasn't just about achieving physical things or degrees or awards or money or titles. That's what I believed it was, but it turned out that it wasn't. And that I had.
But that's also very American, the whole concept of the bootstrap and, coming from poverty and achieving and excelling. That is part of the lore of America. So.
Yes. And it's a belief system it's one of the things that we're born into. We don't even realize it, but that is part of our societal, our culture. That's part of the conditioning. That belief is actually taught to us.
Yeah.
And so we don't, let me put it this way. Sometimes we've held beliefs for so very long, we don't know what it is to be without them. We just think that's just how it is, or how we are, or how things are. But anytime you catch yourself saying that, hearing that, there's always a belief behind it.
And we don't want to not mention your TED Talk, because your TED Talk addresses generational poverty through money consciousness. So we're talking about beliefs. Can you share a belief that maybe a family has that may secretly sabotage their wealth?
Well, I think one that's probably resonates very well with this community is that you have to work really hard to earn money. But it's hard work. And so I think I grew up, money doesn't grow on trees. Some people think they're not good enough. Some people think they're bad with money. Some people believe they're entitled. I mean, there's all sorts of beliefs, not one of them good or bad. But to me, the investigation is really, is it serving me? So, so let me put it this way. Most of us in this culture have grown up with the belief in Santa Claus. And we think it's harmless, right? We do it. Everybody's in on it. And so our children, they believe it. But then there comes a time in a child's life, perhaps in yours and mine, where we started to question the belief. Like, how does Santa Claus deliver all those presents in one night?
How does he get in my house? I don't have a chimney.
Right. What if I don't have
helpers?
A chimney? That's right.
He has helpers.
And so you begin, like a child, you begin questioning the belief. And then once you kind of go into the question, you might not like it. You might not like that there's not a Santa Claus, but then you unfurl that belief and you're like, oh, okay. And you can then release it. I remember going through that with my son. He didn't want to, it's like he wanted the truth, but he didn't want to know the truth, you know? And so the same thing is true about, I would say, our beliefs about ourselves, about our money, about society. So if you're working yourself to the bone, to exhaustion, to burnout, and then you ask yourself, do I really have to work this hard to earn a living? You begin unfurling the belief.
So how do you do that if you are someone that does not have a high school education and you have children to feed, to house, to clothe? I mean, how are you being, introspective when you have to put food on the table? You've got to bring the paycheck in, and you really don't have a lot of options in terms of how you're making that money. I mean, how does that, it's easy, I think, for me to be introspective and, is this fulfilling me? Is this, my purpose? And, but for someone that is, not as privileged and not in my shoes, how does that person?
Or in the struggle. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay, this is going to come down to something very, very fundamental. And it goes back to a quote by Albert Einstein, who asked us, do we believe the universe to be a friendly one? And to me, this question begets this idea, do you believe the universe to be benevolent, to be working in your favor? I had to do this. I did this after my CT surgery fellowship, where I had to stop chasing titles, monies, and degrees and to come into my full self. Like, what am I here to really do? And it didn't involve making millions of dollars. It involved what I call the work of introspection, the speaking, the podcasting, the book writing, all this, the money consciousness show, all the things that I began to do. That's what this took. It took that. What that journey was? 10 years. Nearly a decade. It was not easy, but I tell you, I had to keep asking myself, do I believe the universe to be a benevolent one? That it's got my back, that I would call it the universal safety net, that somehow I'll be provided for, even if I don't know how it's going to work. And I decided that I was going to trust it. I'm not suggesting that it is easy, but I believe, Angela, I believe, Sylvia, we choose our hard. So do I want to keep going down a road where I'm unfulfilled and just burnt out and just like, and then I just die? Or do I want to work where I feel well in myself, fulfilled in my spirit, and I have a legacy, there's a change that I want to create in society.
So
I'm not saying everyone has to be this, big, this huge thing, but you have to ask yourself which hard you're going to do, which journey are you going to take?
So,
Okay.
Susan, let's peel the layer back on this a little more, peel the onion a little bit more. So, what would you say to someone who's kind of stuck in scarcity thinking or having a
Yeah.
scarcity experience?
Hmm.
What would you recommend their first move to be when they are identifying where their money consciousness fears or experience lies?
To me, that comes from acknowledging that there's something there, that there's something that they're not seeing, that they're not understanding, a pattern that's repeating that is no longer serving them. It may have served your ancestors, but
Hmm.
it is not serving you. And you
Okay.
know it. And it shows up everywhere in everything because it's a part of you. So to me, it's bringing awareness to it, even if you don't understand it. Like, even if you can't name it, that there's something that isn't right. And then I think what happens is most of us start on the why me, almost like on the victim side of it. What do I do that's so wrong? And, or what's wrong with me? And to me,
What did
that's
I do to deserve
what did
this?
I do
Yes.
to deserve it? That's
It's
right.
unfair. But
Yeah.
then if you look out and your community looks similar as well, it is hard to see beyond that. And what I want to make
Exactly.
sure is that it doesn't come across is that there is privilege in being able to kind of sit and to identify, what's happening with me, what my patterns are. Because when you are in that day to day
Right.
struggle, and you have children that are looking you in the face because they are hungry or they need clothing or money for football, whatever it happens to be, it's hard to then be introspective.
To me, I would look out at society. I'd look out at the world just driving down the road or walking in the park, and I would see that there's a different way. I just didn't know the way. Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever experience I was having, not everybody's having it. And
Mm-hmm.
so why? What is it? And then why not? Or what does it take? And again, most of us thinks it takes, hard work and lots of money and this and that, degrees and titles and whatever. That again, that's part of this journey that we call life. I don't want to make that wrong. But I think when you get to the point where you've achieved, all that you can do, or you've done all that you can do, and there's still something that isn't right, or it's not sitting well with you, that's when we can take that journey. And I will say this is not for every person in this lifetime, but I do believe at some point in your long journey of existence, you will come to this. This just happens to be my lifetime to do it. And so the idea is bringing awareness to it, and then we can begin to ask higher questions of it. But I don't suggest that this is the work that someone's going to do if they're living hand to mouth.
Okay.
It likely
Okay.
isn't unless they're like a monk and they're going to go meditate and they're going to just figure that out
Yeah.
and let that be.
But it does
It
sound
can
like,
happen.
but what I'm hearing from you, it does sound like, and maybe I did give you, probably maybe a really dire
Circumstance.
case
Yeah.
presentation. Yeah. But it does sound like still in that circumstance, there is value in knowing where your mindset comes from around money. And all of us can learn that in terms of how we grew up, how our parents valued or disvalued money, how, what their ideas were about, how to secure your future and financial wellness altogether. So I think we can all, learn from that. So thank you. I appreciate,
Yes.
you mentioning
Of
that.
course.
Tell me, so when we're talking about like high achievers, can you tell us some of the, or maybe one of the most expensive emotional mistakes that high achievers might make with their money? I can think of many, but what you see?
So I do believe that there are expectations around high achievers, like whatever that means for you. People that obviously that have achieved whatever, some sort of academic success or work, climb the corporate ladder, whatever that is. But they believe that they've got it all figured out or they have it all together. And maybe, for a lot of women that are independent, they believe they don't need anyone. And I think that is one of the most expensive, if you will, mistakes that people can make because there's no person living that does it on their own. So I could be this multi-trillion-dollar tech billionaire, but guess what? I need all my trillion customers. I need other people's money. Like nobody does it alone. Even if they pretend, nobody does it alone. So we all need each other. And I think that's one thing that can harm us is believing that we've got it all figured out, that we don't need any help, and that we're good. Because that is kind of that to me, that's the facade that we put up. And we mostly hear when people say, when you ask someone, how are you doing? They go, fine, I'm fine. And they're not fine, right? Nobody's fine.
Fine is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
That's right. And then most of us just walk away because we don't want to get into it. Because we know that's pretty deep. There's some deepness in there. And most people don't want to get into it with another person.
Well, we have to feel
people
safe.
Want to get into it with
being
themselves.
Vulnerable. Yes, you got to be safe. Being in that vulnerable space. We need to know that that information is not going to go anywhere.
Right.
That I can really expose myself because it is in fact being exposed. And then along these lines, when we talk about conscious financial decisions, can you kind of talk a little bit about that as opposed to an unconscious financial decision?
Sure. So I always say when you're about to make a transaction to check your vibe, check your vibration. Because
what do you feel like in my body, right?
What do you feel? How does it feel? And this is one of the things where I got back into finance after my 10-year hiatus into the spiritual side of life and money and existence, is because what I recognized in the industry, I'd been in it before. I worked in healthcare equities, and I felt this separation between like the people you're making decisions for and their financial portfolios and the individuals, the families, the people that it's connected to. There's a huge disconnect. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was literally searching for meaning. And I was like, this, again, something didn't feel right. And to me, we all have to, I believe, ask ourselves, how are we feeling about what we're doing? If something, when you don't know the outcome of it, it's still fuzzy, but in your spirit, you're like, I know this is right. This feels right. This is good. Trust it. Like learning how to trust yourself. And then if something looks good on paper, but it's just not square with you, you're like, I don't know.
Too good to be true.
Trust that. And that's what I feel like where the disconnect is when money's just about transactions and numbers. And we don't take the whole person, the whole experience into account, like what it is. Sometimes it seems irrational, but why? Why? There's a reason. And if we can get through that thing, then we can make the transaction. Then we can, do the thing that we're going to do. Whether it's starting a business, whether it's buying a house, whether it's getting married, whether it's sending your kid to this or that school, whatever it is.
Or buying a new purse.
Right?
I mean, you at the counter, something don't feel right. And I'm like, ooh.
She's sharing it all.
But if it's on sale, hello.
All right, I'm give you an exercise on this vibration thing.
Yes.
I love that you've talked about purses. So sometimes I'll be like shopping and I'll see like this beautiful coat. And I'm like, I love it. Like, I don't want to take it off. I love it. But then it's like more than I want to spend,
Right.
I'm like, okay.
That part.
And so I always tell myself, I'm like, if I really love it, then I'm going to do it. Right. And so I give myself, this is just my little exercise. I give myself a day to like be with it.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then I'm like, no, this is the one. Like, cause to me, I kind of do the test. I'm like, how do I feel having it versus how do I feel not having it? And if I can I hold both of those things. So I tell you, it never fails. When I go back to get it, it's like I'll go to the register and they're like, oh, did you know that this is 20% off? I'm like, you're kidding.
There you go. It's for me.
Like, so to me, it's just like validation that the universe is always working in our favor.
Highest and greatest good.
Or for me, you go back and it's gone and you know it wasn't for me.
Yes, that's right. And then you have regret, right?
Yeah.
Then you're like, man, I do that. Like, I want these like very special, like a set of plates. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just get 4. And then I'll come back and get 4 later. And I remember I was like, why? Why am I doing that? And I was literally like I love the stoneware. I was getting these like really cool stoneware plates. And there was a lady that was going round and round and round. And she said, I bought like 2 of these bowls. I want to get 4 more and they're gone. And she was just going round and round. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm getting all my stuff.
Get them all. Yeah, there you go.
Because there's no tomorrow. There's only right now. Yes. And if you made the decision, then you ride with that decision.
And you know what else I've learned about kind of being conscious about money is that sometimes we believe, and this is a belief, that if I do this now, then I'm going to be poor later. Like it's like a either or instead of
I can't afford this. Yes.
Yeah. Or that's another one. I can't afford it. And then guess what? I believe, let me put it this way. Let me break this down when I talk about the universe, when I talk about consciousness, when I talk about energy. The frequency of our feelings, like what is resonating from our heart, is the language of the universe. So what we emit, what we resonate out, what I call to this universal substrate of creation, what creates all of everything, it picks up on this signal that we are radiating all the time, 24/7.
And the universe always says yes.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea is, so if I'm resonating fear, then it's like, okay, we're going to show you more things to validate this fear, more fearful things.
Keep you
if I resonate like deprivation or scarcity, you notice more things that are scarce and desperate will show up in your circumstance. But if I resonate gratitude and joy and love and belief, guess what? More and more amazing partnerships, money, surprises, this and that show up in my life.
Yep.
I truly believe.
And so we all do this, but when we are not conscious of this vibration, this energy of us, this is where that unconsciousness comes in. We don't recognize that what we're creating from what the vibration we're resonating out to what I call this universal substrate of creation, whatever you believe or whatever you want to call it, that creates all that is, that created you.
So Susan, thank you. So you've written 6 books on this work, and there's so much that you're sharing with us today. Maybe what's one of the hardest money truths that you personally have had to face while teaching others about, money consciousness?
Probably that the shame that I had, it had many layers to it. And one of the things that I noticed in my journey of kind of uncovering this was how much fear I held in my body surrounding money. And no matter how much work I did, there was still a little bit of fear there. Like I noticed it. I could notice it. I used to have like an autoimmune response. Like I said, like a terrible case of angioedema. And I started to notice like when it would flare up. And it was always when I was fearing usually the future around money, not having enough for this or that to do this or that, or not knowing where the next was coming from. That kind of fear. And then I began to heal and work with healers on that, because there was I was really, I'm telling you, when I was doing the work, I was really doing the work. But let me put it this way. Sometimes we're not just clearing for our lifetime. We're clearing for
the ancestors.
Yeah, it's all that wasn't cleared, like all that's a part of you. We understand that we could have grandma's, I don't know, hair, or grandpa's big toe, and whatever, some mannerism or talent that for generations we can pick up on physical traits or even intangible qualities, the way we move or speak or laugh or something. And so it's like, could we also carry belief systems?
And their trauma.
Could we also carry trauma? And so you think that I would like literally do inventory. I'm like, okay, I forgave mom. I did this. I did that. I'm good. And then there it was. There was
something
still
else
fear.
pops back up.
There was still something that came up. And so it's kind of that thing, that realizing that I believe as long as you're in your embodiment, as long as you wake up every day, your work isn't done.
Okay.
You can't be done. And then when you don't wake up the next day, whatever comes next is your next journey. Like it's just maybe it's a little bit different, but you're never really done. And so I think people can wait until they're ready. And I actually saw something come through my LinkedIn feed about being ready. And it said to the effect, well, you can never be ready, or well, you can never feel ready. Like it's because ready isn't a feeling, it's a choice you make. It's a decision that you make. And so it's like, you can wait till you're all good and all the work is done, and then you start whatever your next thing is, but you're never going to get there because there's always going to be a little bit more to do. It's just at a higher level to me of consciousness and awareness that you do the work.
Absolutely. So along those lines, if you can go back to your younger self, maybe that med student or fellow, what one piece of career or money advice would you want to give yourself?
For once, for one thing, I would go back to my prior self and let her know that she's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
And to trust herself.
Definitely.
Nice. Love that. And I think that's advice we could use on a daily basis, and share with really the younger audience that's listening, that really, really needs to hear this. So thank you for that. In terms of taking care of yourself and what you would tell your younger self, how about now? You are running multiple platforms, you're writing, you're speaking, hosting a show, and that's a lot. That's a lot of energy, stress, whether it's good or bad. How do you practice self-care, and what do you advise to others to keep it as forefront in terms of self-care?
One of the first things is I begin to reframe what I have called stress and busyness. And I know myself better now where the line is falling into overwhelm. I used to live there. Everything, just so much going on that I would feel overwhelmed. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how it was, but that's how I always was. And so I learned where my boundaries are. To me, one of the things I believe we learn when we become more aware of ourselves is how to say no. Because it's then about alignment. Sometimes no isn't never, it's just not now. Like this doesn't fit right now.
That part.
Yeah. And honoring yourself. I think I really pay attention to the words that I speak because I recognize they have a vibration. Just like you're going to look at this, your editor look at this podcast and there's a wave of your sound. And so everything that we speak carries a vibration, has a resonance. And and I spoke earlier about not having problems, but experiencing something. Because when we say experience, we think, oh, that's temporary. I just had that experience. Not that it's forever and I can't overcome it. And it just is. It's, some people believe that it's just how it is and it's how it's going to be until they die. And that's their belief. And then guess what? And so
that's
what
happens.
Yes.
But if I'm like, well, I had this experience once, then it's like, oh, I overcame it. Just like busy. I'm like, I don't like to I could have a very completely full calendar, but I'm like, I'm not busy. Just life is full right now. And then fullness doesn't feel bad. It has a different resonance and a different frequency. It's just like, yeah, things are happening. It's good. It's almost like a good busy, And so I
like
really
that
pay attention
mindset
to my language. Yeah. Because it carries a frequency.
Yeah.
And then, also how you treat yourself. Because I would, I say the hardest person to look at is yourself. The hardest look is at yourself. The hardest relationship is that with yourself. And And so for me, it's the idea of liking myself again. There was a time when I was being a surgeon that I did not like myself. I remember saying one time that I felt sorry for people who knew me or liked me because I knew like I was not well.
Uh-huh.
And so during that process, I had to come back to myself and like her.
Uh-huh.
She's pretty incredible. You're pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe that. And some people have a self-loathing. And they say it, they have self-deprecating language. Some people do not like themselves, and so they cannot be with themselves. They're constantly distracting themselves from themselves. And to me, it's learning to be quiet. It's learning to be still.
Be still.
And it's cultivating kind of the greatest love of all, right? We remember Whitney Houston, it's loving yourself.
Yes.
It's being in love with yourself, not looking in the mirror and seeing all the flaws and all the regrets, but like loving yourself. And so
that.
to me, that took a long time, to come back to that.
I think that is a perfect way to go out in terms of the greatest love of all is loving yourself, and what we could give to our audience, that one piece alone with all of the gems and the pearls that you gave us today. We thank you so much. Do you have time perhaps for just a quick round of rapid fire questions, just top of mind? They're pretty easy and fun. Okay. So cash, credit, Apple Pay, or crypto?
Apple Pay.
I was so terrified of Apple Pay. My kids were like, it's fine. It's safe, Mom. I was like, I'm putting my money. Didn't feel safe. So you're the money person. All right. I'm good with that one.
Best money advice you've ever received?
You're going to stretch me on this one, Miss Sylvia. Because I say I haven't received a lot of good advice.
Okay, well then tell us some bad advice, worst advice you've ever heard.
Let me come back to that one.
Okay.
Let me come back to that one.
I'll make an easy one.
So I don't get in trouble with my finance job with this one.
Here's an easy one. Sylvia's already kind of probably told us one of hers, but guilty pleasure purchase.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it's on the handbags. Okay, so I used to have this guilty thing.
What had happened was...
Yeah, I used to have, so I changed it. Like I used to feel guilty because I wanted to have a Birkin bag. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I went through this for like a long time around and around with it. And it's that same thing. Like when I became aware, I was like, I just love it. I literally, I love it. I think it's like art. And so I have three of them now. Well, I have three, but I receive them differently. Like, so there was a time that they meant something different. They meant I made it, I'm worthy, status, I've got enough money, whatever. And then later, when I really received these bags, I allowed myself to receive them. I was like, you know what? I just think they're beautiful and I like them and they
appreciate them.
I think I love the quality. They're heavier than I thought, but they're very high quality. And so I realized that I'll have fewer things, but I have quality things.
Yeah.
And so then I'm perfectly fine with it. Like and it wasn't anything it didn't have to mean anything that it didn't mean. It just, or that I was worthy or made it or good enough or that enough. It was just that I loved it and that was enough.
Nice. Love that. Love that.
So no guilt. No
Good. Good.
Very good. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Reframing. And all of this has been about just kind of reframing the ideas around the money and the material things. So thank you so much. We cannot tell you how we've loved learning about you, and definitely would, tell people to look at your, TEDx. And if you would like, you can share your social media handles, if anything that or any last parting words that you'd like to give our audience And we can include all those things in our show notes as well.
Okay, wonderful.
Well, Susan Nicholas, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of your pearls and just wisdom when it comes to our money consciousness. We here at Boss Leap, we appreciate you and we look forward to having further conversations. May you be well. Angela, our conversation with Dr. Susan Nicholas was amazing. I am certainly looking at my own money patterns and really my beliefs and language around money completely differently now. What take homes did you have?
There were actually several, just, kind of researching and understanding, where Susan came from and how she kind of came to the thought process of, how we look at money. And it really was eye-opening in terms of if you really reflect on how money was framed from as a child, whether it was scarce or whether it was plentiful, and how your parents or those around you valued or thought about money. It really is part of what we think every day. As an adult, I can think about how, as an idealistic 20-year-old, I remember thinking, I'm not going to just chase money, because I felt like I could see how that hindered being happy. But then you start making money, and it's just, just like some of the, our natural behaviors are things that we learned when we were young. And just the scarcity, mindset, all of those things. So really, in terms of what I took away, were just kind of some of her really, I thought, insightful lines in terms of, the hardest relationship in life is with yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
And that's the truth.
Ooh,
when you
just hits you. Mm-hmm.
It hit me. I liked how she talked about reframing busy.
Yes.
Life is full.
Right now.
Life is full. Life is full. But I think the caveat is knowing when to take something off your plate there. But I like the reframe, because life can be full. And it doesn't ever have to be this, low, where I'm not doing anything. I don't think of, like, for example, retirement as being that where I'm doing nothing. That's not healthy. And so I like the life is full. It's just a matter of how we make it full. Lastly I loved, her reference to Whitney, the greatest love of all. And
that was beautiful. I was humming it in my head.
Same. And the greatest love of all is loving yourself. I was like, okay, that was, like, the best line that I'm going to take away this week. How about you?
I love that. And, when she talked about it's not a problem, it's an experience. And we oftentimes talk here on Boss Leap about it's a season. So this is a season that you are currently in. Yes. And to kind of reframe it like that. Yeah. And no, not necessarily meaning no is never, but it's like no right now.
Not right now. I like that. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. And not only can you think of it that way, but you can respond that way. And went to things that you're asked about. Yeah.
Definitely. And I love how she really reinforced our habit of, well, we're going to let the purchase sit there for a moment, the item. So, and then if you feel kind of in your spirit that, okay, this is for you, and then you go back for it.
How about
that? Definitely has been a practice of mine. If it's not like an immediate leap, yes. How do you feel about this transaction? How does that vibe or that energy feel within your entire body? So,
I don't know why, but I was thinking about one of our girls' trips. We were in SoCal, one of our
Orange County.
We were
at Fashion Island in Newport Beach.
And there was it was a very simple, like, wool sweater, that camel color. And it's one of those items like I had seen it, like cable knit, like so simple.
Yes, that's so
But
you. Classic.
Exactly. I have been eyeing, something like that for the longest. I didn't buy it. And to this day, I wish that I had bought it. So I remember that when I'm shopping, there's something that really, really speaks to me, and it's within my budget, then okay, yes, this is okay to buy. But the part about leaving stuff and coming back, I'll come back later, I do that all the time. And I think that's sage advice, because then the next day I didn't even go back to the store. I don't even think about it.
You didn't even think about it.
That wasn't for me. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, awesome. Well, this was a really good episode. We love everything that Dr. Susan Nicholas had to share. And certainly we are adding all of her contact information in our show notes. And we would love for you to share this episode with your friends and family. You can reach us on Apple and Spotify and all the streaming sources. You can reach us at bossleappodcast.com. That's boss, L-E-A-P, podcast.com. We would also love for you to visit us at YouTube, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Certainly, if there are any ideas that you have for us or any guests that you would love to see, let us know. And until we meet again, may you be well.
May you be well.
That's a wrap on another episode of Boss Leap. May this conversation enlighten your path toward personal growth and professional empowerment. For more thought-provoking and eye-opening discussions like this one, head to our website at bossleappodcast.com. Always remember to celebrate your wins and trust yourself. A positive mindset can push you out of your comfort zone and into far greater heights. Until next time, may you be well.
Before we go, there's one more thing the lawyers have asked us to include. It's the legal language, and you know how doctors love lawyers. This podcast is presented only for educational and entertainment purposes. Although we are doctors, on this show, we are just your friends. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Understood? Awesome. We'll see you in the next episode.